I don't really like rhythm game genre mashups. It's not that they're bad or anything, but oftentimes when someone says genre mashup, I think of a game where one genre is just way more dominant than the other. Just to cite one example, Bullets Per Minute was fucking sick and I loved it. It's a mashup of FPS, rhythm game, and roguelike, but the roguelike part felt tiny compared to the rhythm game and FPS part. It's a difficult balance to pull off, and so today I'm going to be giving my first impressions of Soundfall, another rhythm game genre mashup that was recommended to me by Steam. I can't use this is copyrighted. You probably haven't heard of Soundfall, and that's because it only came out like earlier this month. It's a mashup of three genres: rhythm game, dungeon crawler, and looter shooter. What the fuck is that? Just like in the Bullets Per Minute video, let's break down each genre's gameplay. In Soundfall, your attacks and dashes have to be timed to the beat. Shooting offbeat deals less damage, and if you shoot offbeat for too long, your weapon gets overheated and you have to wait for your gun to cool down before you can shoot again. All the stages in Soundfall play out like this. You navigate through rooms of enemies to get to the end. You could go off track to discover new stuff like chests or items that will help you, or you could just speedrun to the end to get a platinum trophy. The main mechanic of powering up in this game is to get better guns and items from chests and sometimes enemies as you go through the levels. You can also buy items from a shop in your inventory, although everything there kind of really sucks. I'm going to be honest guys, I've never actually played or even heard of a looter shooter. Anyways, that's essentially the genres and gameplay covered, so let's get into my first impressions of Soundfall, at least the 4 hours I've played. Let's start with... First off, I'm gonna be honest, Soundfall is one of the best looking rhythm games I've seen in a long time. Generally, my standard for aesthetics for rhythm games in particular is pretty damn low. More like I don't really care that much, so I didn't really know what to expect going into it, but the cutscenes and environments are for the most part pretty damn gorgeous. Getting used to the game is pretty difficult, but once you get a feel for it, everything will feel pretty natural. You also get a sense for the enemies without you realizing it. For example, this horrendously annoying blow dart guy takes 4 beats to charge up its attack, so I know that I have to dash after 4 beats to dodge it. This other equally annoying cunt takes 3 beats to charge up his bull charge attack, so dodge after 3 beats. It reminds me of Crypt of the Necrodancer in a way. After a while of playing, you start to get used to the enemy's rhythms and know how to react to them, and it's really satisfying when you get it down. This game is pretty hypnotic. After a while I found myself clicking to the beat in the menus even though I didn't really need to. Soundfall feels like a tour through different genres of music, with each chapter sticking generally to one genre of music. The Skylands chapter exclusively has pop music, the Hotlands exclusively has heavy metal music, and the Forest only has classical music. Each chapter also has its own unique gimmick. For example, the Hotlands chapter has volcanoes shooting molten rock onto you, which you have to avoid, or the Night City has weird laser things. But I enjoyed all of the gimmicks in their own ways. Unfortunately, that's where I'm running out of good things to say. Let's move on to... So, honestly, there's a lot to say. I'm going to start off by saying that Soundfall fell into the exact same pitfall that Bullets Per Minute fell into, which is lack of content, or more specifically, lack of variety. Let's talk about the weapons in game real quick. You have 3 main methods of attacking. Your gun, which is going to be your main weapon for the most part, your artifact, which depends on which of the 5 characters you're playing as, and your ultimate, which charges up over time for one big super attack, which again, also varies on which character you're playing. From what I've seen so far, you get a massive selection of guns for you to choose from, but unfortunately, all of them fall into one of 3 categories: shotgun, machine gun, or rifle. This means that you could get a shit ton of weapons and maybe some super godly damage ups, but no real variation in gameplay. Like, almost none at all. The only variety in the weapons is stuff like the elemental system or suffixes on your gun, which doesn't really change much gameplay wise. Basically, once you've tried one gun from each category, you've basically tried them all. Artifacts are kinda like alternate attacks to accompany your gun and are different for each character. For example, Melody uses a sword, Jackson uses an axe, and Lydia uses a bow. Now, while this sounds like a lot, and it kinda is, aside from the artifacts, all the characters play way too similarly. The artifacts do help though. For example, I found myself using Lydia more often than not since her bow was the one and only long-range attack in the game, but at the end of the day, they all just play too similarly. This is where the lack of variety really hits you over the head. Each level plays really almost the exact same way as the last 5 levels you were on. There's no big climactic boss battle at the end of each level, really nothing. You see a lot of the exact same enemies over and over, and it honestly feels really repetitive. Shoot, dodge, repeat, and that's essentially Soundfall. The only difficulty that changes when you amp up the difficulty is only more enemies and tougher enemies. Not maybe different beats, well, really anything related to the rhythm game part. Hopping back onto me complaining about weapons, here's a fun nitpick. Remember when I said that weapons in the game could have various suffixes on them? Lightning weapons create a chain of lightning that deals damage, burning weapons leave burning damage on monsters, and the rhythmic weapons punish you for being on the beat. I don't know what the fuck is going on. So, should you play Soundfall? Unfortunately for me, it's a no. Even ignoring a lot of what I said about how weapons and levels can feel like reskins of one another, Soundfall feels more like a metronome game than a rhythm game. Combine that with how repetitive the game can feel after a while, and gameplay can start feeling stale and it can start feeling more like a chore. I respect the passion and craft that went into this game, but unfortunately for me, it's a no. Of course, go watch other reviews on the game if you're planning to buy it. Don't just trust my input because I'm a stupid rhythm gamer. Thank you guys for watching this video. I've been on break for a while, but hopefully I'll come back stronger than ever. Click on the left to see something YouTube wants you to see, and click on the right to see something I want you to see.